Welcome. Welcome to the Seek ELLAvation experience. Another Tuesday, another time to elevate with yours truly, attorney Ella Keisha. This is where real issues, real people, real conversations take center stage because change doesn't happen in silence. And this is a perfect topic today for how I always intro, where change doesn't happen in silence because you need that social, not silence, and let change happen there. There's time and place for silence, but it doesn't happen there all the time. We have to come together. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about social currency as our wealth. That is what we're talking about. I'm excited to talk about it, building impact, how to make a big impact with social currency. And one of the things we have to ask ourselves is, what does social currency mean? And how can we truly cash in on it? That's why I brought our special guest today, so we can just talk about that. See where we go with that question. So if you're in sports, if you are entertainment and you are in business or just in the community, ready to elevate, this is a time, this is the place and time to do it. We elevate voices that need to be heard. But here on Seek ELLAvation, we don't just talk. We have enough places to go if we want to just hear talk. Here we inspire, we empower, we challenge the status quo, but more importantly, we connect. We highly encourage you to engage, ask questions, share your experiences, chime in. More importantly, connect. I find guests, identify guests, those that I know, those that just resonate with me. I'm a very energy type person, those that resonate and that are aligned to that I feel to help move this mission of us elevating. So do not sleep on the people that I bring here. There is a reason they are here. So definitely make sure that you absolutely connect. So let's go ahead. I wanted to get into it, and then I'll introduce our guest. But I wanted to just think about right now, right? So in a world just full of noise, if we're really talking about truly elevating, and we have a lot of things going on, we hear a lot of different type of talks, but if we're really truly talking about elevation, it's going to come through those relationships that's built on depth, not just deals, but built on depth. And that's what I always say. Like, even in my practice, what I do, in my practice, in my speaking, whatever it is that I do, I look at the depth of those relationships that come out of what I do, not just deals. So it's not just about social connection, not just about what can I get out of it, right? Just about capitalism. It's about alignment. It's the currency that creates impact that outlives any type of movements that we're talking about, because it helps us to multiply over time. And we use that word a lot. Is I don't know, 2025, either I'm paying more attention or I just hear a lot more cliches. And there's a lot of words that have been watered down in this year of 2025. And movement is one of those words, I believe. So if we're going to talk about anything being a movement and not just a moment, and we want it to multiply over times, then we're talking about social currency. So in this episode, in this segment, I want us to dive into what it takes to build intentional relationships that carry weight. Not just for clout. The industries I'm in, a lot of people name drop. That's what we call it. We got so many people that connect to just try to name drop, but there's nothing of substance there. So we're not talking about clout. We're talking about contribution and literally really building. So we'll explore that, and we'll have, our guests share from her perspective. And who was her? Stephannie Kirby. I am so excited to bring her on. She's the CEO and founder of Black Wealth Culture. She's a true advocate for social currency. Someone that I met on LinkedIn. And the very first conversation was literally about, what is I'm taking a survey on a perspective of, from the perspective, of Black women, what can we do differently? What are we looking for when we talk about, just felt the passion. And let me tell you, I'm someone that is quick and this may be you too, I am someone quick to ignore people on LinkedIn because it turned into a solicitation type. And people say all types of things, but I know when I'm skimming through stuff, I feel an energy, and this was like a stop. And she held an event called the Currency of Social Capital, and I attended that event, and it was a great conversation. Things that were asked. It was also a flow for us to share. And again, it wasn't one of those situations where it was just conversation, at least not for me. Made 3 connections from there. End up having a phone call and had a great conversation with one of the other attendees, and actually was the host. And we'll co-host, and we'll do some things together. And actually, when she made the call, she asked me, "What can I do for you?" Then wasn't even asking. We live in a world of a lot of people that are fake, but you can tell when people are genuine. And when you tell them, you find them, you know them, make them your social currency. Stephannie says success in the coming year isn't just about big plans. It's about having the right support to turn those plans into reality. Affordable, dedicated help isn't a luxury. It is the bridge that helps entrepreneurs go from vision to victory. And I would like to add to that, it is the bridge that helps, and then you fill in the blank, go from vision to victory. So without further ado, I am going to bring Stephannie on the stage. Hello, Stephannie. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Can you hear me?
I hear you nice and clear. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yes, I can.
Okay. How have you been today?
Actually, wonderful. It was raining, but it was still wonderful just to even hear the sound.
It's raining.
Yeah, in Charlotte.
Yeah, well, here in Atlanta and surrounding cities, I don't know what's going on. I think this is across the board. This is everywhere.
Yeah.
This is not just us here. We are off for so many reasons, but we've had not just rain, we've had rain storms,
Mhm.
that strong wind that is with it. And the other day, 2 days ago, I'm lying in the bed and I feel the bed shake.
Wow.
And I'm like, didn't really think none of it. I don't know. Sometime I felt like a house shake when a truck hit big heavy truck hitting the road. So I just guess I was just thinking that, but I was tired. I took that shake and it was okay. Come to find out, we had the residual of an earthquake. I did not know that.
I mean, I didn't feel anything here, so even if that did happen, I wouldn't even noticed it.
Oh,
Oh,
we
wow.
noticed. And I was like, okay, well, that's let me know. We're getting to the point where we can't say this would never happen here. Such and such
That's
would
right.
never happen here. I mean, we've been along that line. Cause I remember when Georgia had a huge flood, we never said it would happen like New Orleans. And it was huge. It wasn't to that capacity, but it was things went underwater. It was crazy. So it is what it is. But let's get into it. We're
Yes.
talking about social currency.
Well, first, thank
What
you for
does
even
that
the
mean to you? Like,
introduction.
huh?
Can I say first, thank you for the introduction. That was
Yes.
even just what you were stating about social capital. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have any more to say anyways. You said it right on point. So, but thank you so much for the invite. And even also even following through. I just wanted to make sure I say that out loud.
You are so welcome. I thank you so much for that. Thank you for pausing me to be able to give that share. I appreciate you. Yes, I mean, because that's why I know when I immediately connected with you, we already were on the same page because I wholeheartedly agree with you and align to that. I was just speaking to somebody a while ago when we talk about self-made. Like we hear this word is self-made billionaire to self. And yes, you have to understand self. So in that sense, you have to understand self and you make self be centered. But those of us who continue to elevate, it's not self. You
Right.
must connect. And so when you think about that, how do you define, like, what does social capital mean to you, or social currency? How do you measure that thing in your life in general and in your career? How does that align with it?
And I like to pause, so you'll see me do the pausing because I like to think before I speak.
I love that. You see, guys, why you doing pause and talk? Now you see what I mean with a line? That means it's intentional.
Mm.
That is so intentional when you're allowing whatever it is to drop pass through you. See, don't get me deep. Don't get me going.
I would say for me, social capital, if I can step back a little bit, because the
Yes.
definition for me only developed as I was developing myself. And realizing that when I want to achieve certain things, I still needed someone. And I noticed that I would only define that someone as if it's like a family member or a friend, if they helped me get somewhere. But I never really defined it as maybe even that clerk in the store where I couldn't find something and they helped me. And I started looking at relationships from a minute sense and then this large sense, like, wow, like we are all in this energy, right? We have this energy going on around us. So even when you spoke of self, um, there's moments, right, where we have to recenter ourselves to understand who we are when we are bringing it to the world, but then also understanding, interacting with the world, and how do we do that? And so social capital to me, I started defining, um, kind of listening to myself, how I interacted with individuals. There came a point where I didn't want to call people up. I was like, they should call me. I'm doing great. And we all tend to have that ego moment, right? Like someone's going to show up at our door and tell us that, we're doing great when we really need to get out there. So I found the definition for me is I matured or mastered, as I'm still mastering, social capital, is that when someone can speak my name in the room and it's
Yes.
of value, when I'm not there, I learned that. And that's built off of me building value with that person, right? Bringing integrity to that individual. It's not, oh, I just know Stephannie. I know maybe what she does. Give her a call. But these people are really intentionally going, I know someone that can really probably help you, really support you because they understand my value as well. So social capital to me, I guess, is that definition that someone could really speak about me without me being there, um, in that intention, with that serious value that they have behind me and the support that they believe in me, because they probably say she believes in me as well, and that's
Right.
the return of, the capital part, right? It has to be worth something. Sorry, my
Right.
phone's went off with it.
You're fine. And I love that you mentioned that, right?
Mhm.
You end up carrying with that because it's that reciprocation. You already feeling like, right, there is this investment, this gain. It's not just about
Yes.
knowing someone. It's about this currency investment. And like some people say, because we always say, who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know? But those who understand, I believe social capital is who knows you. You
Mhm.
surpass that general where people network. And that's why some people really hate that word, because we got so used to just network mean get around a bunch of people, pass your cards out, grab some cards or QR code cards, go home, go through things. What can someone do for me? What can someone do
Right.
for me? No, but it's who knows you. So what is that net worth versus that network? How are you going in those rooms and even being intentional? So when I go to certain events, it's not about me trying to move the room like some people encourage, move the entire room. It's about me trying to fill the room. And then I'm intentional about who I want to connect with and move in that room. Because it goes to the same saying, all money's not good money, right?
That's
So if we're
right.
talking about social currency with people, all people ain't good people. So it's about, you know, feeling that. So when you had that moment of, so let's kind of walk through your journey. You got this aha, this is what it means to you. How did you start moving differently with that?
I think a couple of things happened for me, if I can sort of go back in memory lane here. Um, I think it was a loss of a network, right? Loss of friendships because of perhaps my behavior. And sometimes when that happens to us, we don't realize or hold our own selves accountable to go, how did I treat that person? Or how did I show up for that person? But I have always been the type of person to learn. So, anyone that's watching, if that's the type of person you are, then you would see your growth, right? Because you're going to start to grow. So people have a choice to not be, your friend. And they have a choice to say, are you showing up for me? Are you the energy I want around me? And you at times will be that person that they say no. And it could be because of how your behavior is. And I think that's what happened. Part of for me, what happened to me. Obviously, I was much younger during the time. At least a lot of it is during my youth. And repeat the question, because I was going to start to go off to other.
No. When you seen that change, like when you seen it starting in your journey of mastery, of understanding, this is really what social capital means. This is what it means. It's about who knows me and is
Mhm.
speaking my name in rooms. It's not just about we just know each other. But once you start understanding what social capital meant to you, what did you start doing with that? When did you see a shift of how to apply that in your life, in your career, to make sure that when someone knows you, they are speaking your names in those rooms?
Well, I've always been my career has always been based on relationships, meaning
Okay.
I'm actually building like accelerators, or I'm building programs. So obviously I'm building for individuals
Mm.
for to learn. So I had to really definitely understand relationships. But I will say it was so I used to work in the music industry. So when I was an intern at Def Jam, I got a whiff of kind of how to show up. Most of the interns, and this is what my boss at the time was telling me. There was a couple of us interns there, but I was answering the phones properly. When people call, I'm like, "Hello, how are you?" I had this proper voice, and even though it's so small, they kept me on and took all the interns off at least in that department that I was in at the time, because he said, you know how to talk to people, you knew how to answer the phone, and help individuals. And so little things like that, as you're going through life, you start to go, oh, let me jot that down. That worked. And then I just think I always also been blessed. I have a lot of female friends. So a lot of them, if we remember our conversation, we were talking about stereotypes. That was not as difficult for me because I was very blessed to have sisterhood along the way. I met a lot of women that have helped me. Um, so yeah, I would say it's just I'm mastering, and still, like I said, I'm still mastering it, right? I'm still learning because your relationships is constantly changing because of how, the world is always constantly changing. So how we interact with each other is changing.
So
Um,
go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No, so it's not how we're showing up privately, it's how we're showing up in front of people, right? That's what you're saying, because you were doing something that stood out to people that was around you. And it sounds like you just doing it because that's you. Like that's just how you know. Not
Yes.
necessarily to catch the attention of anyone, but you just did it. But it stood out, and that was an investment in your social capital. Now people knew you and knew we want you, and they speak about you that way. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, and also even behind closed doors, I'm constantly noticing my own self though. So like I know how I want to show up for people. And I notice things how I behave, and if I don't like it, I kind of try to change and mold myself into the person I am. So there's two things actually probably going on, right?
Okay.
You do still have yourself, and you're still looking at yourself and how you want to be presented and seen, and you want people to know you. And then there's how you're interacting with people and how they're responding with that self. And I feel like a lot of things intertwine in that building part. So you're constantly going through life and you're still refining yourself. And you have to make those kind of decisions so that when you are building your social capital, you're attracting the right kind of people you want to. Because your energy will definitely attract those kind of people that you may not want as well. So you have to be able to align yourself. Does that make
That makes
sense?
absolute sense, because I was going to ask you, just for clarity, because you said you was answering the phone the proper way. Is that way meaning, because I think I heard you explaining it, the way you're taking care of the person on the other end? Or do you mean proper by how you're speaking? And if it's the second, I ask, to the point you just made, how you hold yourself, you attract those people you want. And a lot of times what we do too, right, especially in the Black community, we do a lot of code switching. We'll make sure people make sure that, a certain way, because of those things. I want people to see me, whatever, how I want to show up this way here. So there's code switching there. So when you mention, because like you said, you work for a label, when you answered proper way, was that a code switching, or was that I answered in a way where they looked at, how to provide the customer service that we want versus somebody not?
Good question. So mine wasn't code switching. It was actually, so Def Jam is hip hop music, right? So,
right.
I mean, people that are calling in, it's a very different kind of, if you want to say code switch, there's no code switching. It's Black folks calling each other.
Exactly.
But it's the way I showed up for myself, how I talk. So have I been in rooms where they're like, oh, you talk white, or, oh, you talk this way. And it's like, no, that's just me, right? I want to speak clearly to the person to make sure they understand. So I never actually really had to code switch. I think I was just always questioned of how I talk, because they didn't think that that's how I naturally talked. Now, granted, can we get comfortable in our conversation? Yes. And with my friends and my family. And do you have a professional kind of way of speaking? But to be honest, this is naturally how I speak. So I'm not as much code switching unless I'm kind of playing around.
And no, you sound regular now, because I don't know if that's how I was speaking on the
phone. That's exactly how it's.
You sound regular. There's no white, or there's nothing to it. It just sounds good. You sound good. But okay, so other people got ignored. They weren't doing things right. How do you think people who are, I believe we're both introvert and extrovert. I believe all humans have both qualities. Some have more of a dominant one than the other, or sometimes one shows up depending on the place. Like there's some rooms I'm more inquisitive. I look around. I'm not, but then there's some rooms where I feel comfortable. I am. But how about those who have the dominant introvert? How are they building social capital? I mean,
that's a very good question.
Because I was thinking about that even when you said with the calls. I mean, some of them don't know how to do certain things, and now you just lost that whole social currency based on XYZ. But it just in general, what do you think about that?
So I can give my opinion on it, but
yes, it's your opinion.
Honest, it's because it's not me. Like like if I want,
you extreme extrovert.
Yeah.
But have you? Okay, so let's flip it. Let's think about the other way instead of getting an opinion on it. Have you, in your energy, in your way, interacted with someone that seem more of an introvert to you, and you kind of didn't want to move forward with that social capital, currency, or connection because they may have been an introvert? Like, does that affect you interacting with someone who may be?
Meaning, are they like they're too shy to kind of talk to me?
Yeah, like you may feel like, I don't know. Because maybe they need 2 times, 3 times. Maybe they just need you to lead more. But you may walk away, but like, yeah, I was just leading that conversation a little bit too much. I don't see how we gonna offer anything together. Like, how do they deal? You can't answer how do they deal with it.
Yeah.
But how have you responded, reacted, or think, in your opinion, they should move about in that way when building social currency? Because we want them to be poor. We can't be poor for being introvert.
I mean, everything's going to have to be of comfort, right? Like I said, I have a different comfort of how I'm going to interact with someone. And if I can kind of read the room, in that energy and say, maybe they're not comfortable right now having that conversation. I don't know how that person would interact, because they're the ones that have to build that confidence within themselves in order to build their social capital. I mean, some people are really comfortable saying, I got 5 friends, I am doing well. And, that's it. And then there's others like, I need more connections in so many different places. And so I'm going to get out there and I'm going to take the initiative and follow up and follow through. I really think it's based on comfort and when you're ready. That's my thing, because I'm not going to say that I was always hey, jumping in people's faces. There's times where I was very nervous to even talk to someone.
Right.
It's just, I think it's just the growth in the journey. And I think a person just needs to still put themselves in an uncomfortable position in order to be able to find that out. Right. Because that's how we get out of our shell. We do
Right.
have to still be uncomfortable. So although I'm a go-getter, I actually don't do these kind of interviews, right? I don't come on. I'm mostly like creating systems in the background. So
Right.
under my nerd effect, and I love it. But I still need to get out and have conversations with people.
Right.
And so I put myself in those spaces. So I guess I can only share what I do when I'm in that kind of feeling, that space, or
Right.
being kind of maybe an introvert at that moment, is putting myself in an uncomfortable position to try.
Absolutely. Now, I like how you said too that you still read the room. That's a good one. Read the room, because that's something I do, right? Because I
Yeah.
know there is extroverts and introverts, because what I do means I deal with tons of people,
Yeah.
countless people. I know there's different types, and so I know that I read the room on individuals, and there's certain things I may lead on, or things I say or give, or pick up on that one or two, three things that they share, and start to see how they move with that. So you can read the room when someone's just like, I ain't feeling it, versus I was an introvert, but you massage the situation and they became a little more extrovert with you. So for me, I definitely pay attention to reading the room, knowing that we all come in different ways, and not just shut off those introverts.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. And for me, then I would say to those who are introvert, and just saying that then is to know that, because I don't know, like you said, some people are happy with just your 5 friends or this. But as we're talking about it, we're talking about building that social capital. Just like you wouldn't be, I mean, there's some people who are satisfied with just the basic that they make. But if we're talking about
Right.
movements and doing things, we know money funds the mission. So it's the same thing we talk about social capital. You may be good with 5 friends. You probably don't have to make no more friends, as the song says. But you do build that capital around you in order for you to do the things you need to do, and for you to do the things that others may need you to do as well. So for the introverts, yeah, think about that as you're in rooms. Continue to just fill rooms, read rooms, and also read how people may be reading you, who's trying to build that social capital, right? So for introverts, you don't have to jump out, but read the room just as much as somebody else is reading the room, because that could be that big investment right there. So speaking about intentional relationship building, like, what is your approach to just staying authentic, right? This world, we are obsessed. Like I said, that's one of those words, that networking, versus some people just literally try to get to know you for how they can gain.
Right.
Right. So what is your approach of staying authentic in a world which is just obsessed with networking for gain? How do you navigate that?
So I have different ways for that too. Actually, I'll start with what like my thought when I look at LinkedIn as a connection.
Okay.
I didn't want to be just a connection on LinkedIn. I don't want to be a number. And I say this to anyone that I even actually meet on LinkedIn when we have our virtual conversation. I mean, very true to that. I want to know the different individuals that are that I'm connected to. One, it's a professional platform. And I'm like, if somebody asks me, do you know someone because you're connected? I'm like, I don't know that person. I've never even talked to them. So I reach out to them intentionally to learn about their journey. What is it that you actually do? What is your professional background? I do not oversell. If somebody asks me about what I do, I'm happy to share. I guess I go in with and it might be because one of my mentors told me, if I do good work either way, someone's going to want to hire me. They want to learn what I do. I don't really oversell. I had to learn that again. I'm just going into learning about the individual. I want to know what they're doing. And sometimes I do ask about their bottlenecks. And then I go, well, sometimes I share with how I probably could support, but I also end with how can I support even if you don't hire me, how can I also support in ways where I'm able to, right? I don't overpromise either. So when I'm building intentional relationships, usually it's the path that I'm on, right? So if I'm looking to build more relationships with Black women that own business, so I'm obviously being intentional in finding those women. But I'm not there to make a sale. I'm there to build the friendship, because the relationship, I've had clients come to me years later after building relationships, and it's been my biggest accounts. So I think it's just the person's journey. And when you are being intentional, and if you want to be authentic, is really make sure that you're getting to know the person that you want to get to know, and not just trying to sell them what you have. But some people just go, well, this is what I do for you. I can do for you. So give me a call. And it's like, but you don't know nothing about me. And
Right.
we all get that on LinkedIn. You could see that, like, people will go, hey, I see that you do this kind of business, and I got HR background. And I'm like, I don't even know you at all. And you definitely don't mean me, because I would have told you I'm not looking for that right now. Right. I don't know what in a person's doing. And there's another thing I learned as in building this authentic relationship, even on LinkedIn. Um, I just really thank people for connecting with me. Like, just thank you for even saying, yeah, I'll connect with you. And I start there, right? Hey, I want to get on a virtual chat. I want to learn about you. Um, if some people go, no, I don't want to, that's okay. I'm not, going hardcore on it. I'm really actually building friendships as if I was in school again. All right. Going, hey, I want to be a friend.
Right.
Not everyone's going to be a person that you should be connecting with. And that's just part of the learning process for yourself, when you are building these kind of authentic relationships.
No, I agree with you. And I would like to add, for me, part of staying authentic is in my candidacy. I am a candid person. I have no, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what. I've always been, but it's even more so. So I stay authentic in asking you that thing,
Yeah,
that why, especially if you come at me the way you said, like the LinkedIn world. At least for you, they'll say, I seen you did XYZ and I do such and such. I've had some people just come in and I ask them myself, and then I've asked them, have you even read my page?
right.
That is not, do I need that? Did you, and you called me something else, or you say, I see you. Where do you see me do that? That's not even on my page. So I know you're not even trying to get to know me. Because you're just automatically doing whatever. But my authenticity comes in candidacy. Like, I
Mm,
be authentic, and if I'm seeing something one way, I'm gonna call it like it is and see if what I think I'm seeing is what it is. But then, to your point, if people approach more about, I want to hear about you, and they don't understand that is the key to it.
yes,
If there is something, right? Even if it's something that you want from someone, you don't even know that. Get to know them, ask them questions, get to hear their journey to even see, instead of just pouring in, I can do this for you. So it actually works the opposite way, to get to know people. But
yeah,
again, I read the room. I can feel when I read it big time. I read energy. I can feel, and I get very candid about it. So I stay authentic in it. I think I shave that off that way. Um, Yeah, so I love that. But can you share a time where you feel like, because of how you work with people, you're always building people. You're always building people. Is there a time when your reputation or your consistency in these relationships paid off more than any resume that you can put in front of anybody?
I mean, most of my clients come from referrals.
That's
So,
about to say. And I wanted to, I didn't want to cut you off. We were saying that when I
okay.
say resume, right? Because you own your own thing. Resume just means before I have to really sell myself. That's because that's what a resume is in a world of working. But the consistency in your relationship paid off before you even had to sell yourself. To your point, what you just said, that's what I wanted to hear. If that was the case where people selling you, like, you don't
Yeah.
even have to do anything. It's like the reputation and consistency, it's preceding it. And so you said, okay, I didn't mean to cut you off, because when you had said
That's
that, to
okay.
clarify that. So,
But I will say that there was two sides to that, right? So it's the
okay.
referrals, what I'm giving to the individuals, and then they refer me to others. Majority of everyone that has worked with us and worked with me is based on referrals. But I'll also say is the women that I met that were giving me referrals also understood social capital. They understood sisterhood as well. So I'm not sure if it was also because I was putting myself around certain people, right? When I apply for certain positions, even at a younger age, I was focused on where I want to be. I started my first business when I was 14 in Springfield, Massachusetts. So I was very young already in the midst of what I wanted to do. And I was managing my peers. So I was already kind of already learning how to interact with people, the trial and errors as I was going along. So I kind of knew at a young age to put myself around at least the space I want to be in. And at the time, that was music industry. And then I went off to more nonprofit. And now I'm just more in the entrepreneurial space. So I think it's also just understanding your path, because on your path, you're going to say, these are the type of individuals I want to meet. And then it's those referrals that got me through a lot. To be honest, I don't have my master's degree, but I have been doing work that is on master degree level, right?
Doctors, baby.
Yes.
You a doctor in it. Talk about. Listen, there's the paperwork and there's the work that get that paper.
Yes.
And that experiential is that work, right? And that's one thing I did learn, even just going through the education system and being able to go through all levels. I was always sitting there every level saying, I know this. And you have a different terminology for this. You package it with a bow.
Right.
But this is lived and executed here. And actually, the packages and the bows that you all put it on, it's that one size. Whereas out here, it's a jack in the box. You don't know what's going to pop up. And that's why a lot of people, when they just focus on that paper, may get stuck because they don't have that real life experience. And to be able to experience that jargon and say, what? I already knew that, been there, done it, and I got extra stuff to put in there. So that you have a doctorate in it. You out here doing it. You're advocating. You have you're a doctor in it. And I want to just go back and add, like you said, when I asked about reputation and consistency, and how has that, paid off in relationships that outdo any type of resume. May I also add, for me at least, not even just my consistency and my reputation and the service I'm given from someone to refer, but my consistency and reputation, how I show up, constantly delivering the same thing. And I think a lot of us miss that. We build our social currency. People are always watching, and you never know who's watching. You don't do it for them. But if you're real about you, put out there constantly what you love, how you love doing it, build that consistency, because it's building your reputation and it's building you social capital that you don't even know about. And people are referring. I get that a lot, period. From people I never even provided something to, said, oh, I'm reaching out because such and such preferred. You have educated them on whatever the platform is. I'm like, okay, let's go. So that reputation and consistency, touching hands, and just how you absolutely show up, I think paid off for me more than any of the letters behind my name or resumes.
I mean, you also have to be prepared for the coming, right? So always you're preparing yourself for the next crew of people that you're going to meet, right? Because we're constantly changing. You're constantly growing, and so your goals, once you achieve one, then all of a sudden you're on to the next one. So my mother always told me that, just prepare for the coming. And obviously we heard that statement before, and
in other ways, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I like how you said that, though, because that goes back to what I was saying. Even if you're consistent in whatever you're doing and you're putting it out there, no matter what, you're actually consistent in preparing yourself for what's actually to come in your evolution as well. You're constantly doing that. How do you, so you bring these people in, you're building your social capital. How do you discern between, okay, this is what I thought it was this, but now it has became more of a distraction? Where do you feel that? Because I'll let you answer that.
I mean, there's going to be always a lot of distractions and temptations, ways off your path, right?
Sling you off of it.
I mean, I just had to learn again, and I haven't mastered that all the way. I've noticed that it takes me, because I actually enjoy relationships, and I'm very fascinated about just people in general, because there's so many different perspectives. And sometimes I love getting challenged from my perspective to look at somebody else's and go, wow, I didn't know that. and it
Right.
broadens. But some people's perspectives can distract you from your actual goal, right? You could compare yourself to people as on your journey. And when you start comparing yourself to people because they're already there and you're not really actually understanding their journey itself, um, I think those are the distractions I would get, and I still get at times, right? If we're just being vulnerable and transparent at
Yes.
the same time. Um, I can look at those that are like my age and I'm like, they're doing it. Like they're doing it the way I want to do it. Right. And that can actually take me off days of what I want to do. Or if I'm in the room with those type of people, I can then turn into the introvert very quickly. And like, I have nothing to say. I don't know if I should speak. And, you start to change around individuals. So I'm learning that I have to make sure my confidence, and I'm bold enough to stand in my own truth and understand that I understand my value. And sometimes it's very, very difficult for individuals, even if we can boldly say, yes, I believe in myself. And then there's days where you just have people who are just going to challenge you without them not even knowing they're challenging you. Those are the distractions I've experienced. Then there's also the distractions just that you just run into the wrong type of people. Um, every industry has those type of people. It doesn't matter where we go. Um, how I've dealt with it, I'm going to say probably they just became learning experiences so that the next time it shows itself, then I know how to step back and go, that's not where I want to be. But if I never experienced it, I wouldn't have been able to say it. So I would probably say I've been distracted and been off my path, because I didn't know that that's what was happening with me at that time. And I had to get back on the path.
It's funny that you brought that up. So there was one particular person connected on social media. We attended a big event by someone we know mutually in the entertainment industry and stuff. And we get to the place where it's at, do all the highs. Like, she was like, girl, you doing it. You doing it. She said, I hate you, but I love you. I be wanting to not follow you, be making me sick. But then you inspire me. So it was joking, but it was piercing my ears in another way. Like,
Mm.
uh I don't know. I felt an undertone in that thing, especially from the person that said it, where there's no engagement at all. So it really made me start questioning: is what I'm doing more of a distraction to you than it is inspiration, teaching, doing this, but looking at it in a way where there had to be some, like she said, comparison. You doing it, you be making me mad. I hate you, but I love you. I be wanting to not follow you. And could we possibly lose valuable social capital because of something we have to visit in ourselves? That's a distraction. Or should we just,
Mm.
to my point to the question I asked you, how do you decide who's worth building? It doesn't matter. Maybe if that connecting with that person still will distract you, regardless of how valuable it may be. Is it, you think, for a person to say, maybe it's not worth building with that person because it is still going to just be a distraction for me, no matter how valuable I see it? Because when you said that, it brought me to that. And the person doesn't reach out, doesn't do anything, doesn't even engage, but you see, hey, and that's the first thing you tell me. You know everything that's going on, and you love me, but you hate me because of that. You're connected with me, but you don't want to follow me because of that. What do you think about that?
I feel like those are kind of red flags. For me, there's truth in jokes. Let's just be real. So, even
I
if
felt
somebody's
it.
joking around, I mean, I don't know. People show you who they are. It's just up to you to actually really take, in, is that really them, and decide, is that goes with you. I mean, goes with your energy and where you're traveling on that journey,
Yeah.
as I keep using that word. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've run into some interesting people, and very interesting. I mean, there's a lot of interesting people out there. Um, but you really have to, I will say, you have to make a decision very quickly instead of elongating that decision, meaning you'll start to see the red flags for you. That might not be that their intention of showing you that person, but that's how you are relating to the message that they're giving, right? You're receiving it. So if I'm like, hey girl, and I'm all like, oh girl, you make me sick, but I love you. I really might just be genuinely funny and bubbly and just like that. But that might not resonate with you. That might come off with like, no, I need someone that's way more confident you don't have to say those things. We just sitting down and we enjoying ourselves together,
Right.
and enjoying our accomplishments together. So yeah, I guess, like I said, I've met some odd people, and I'm pretty sure I've been an odd person to someone else, right? Where somebody also had to say to themselves, like, no, Stephannie, it's not someone I want to interact with. So like, there's always these two sides. Like, we can have these conversations about who you should be hanging out with, but you also have to remember you are going to also be that person as
Yeah,
well to others.
absolutely.
So, and you won't know why. So we all can only make that decision within ourselves of who we want near us and who we want to be just as associates.
Absolutely.
Maybe
Worth
someone just to
building.
hide by.
I agree. Well, for me, so by listening, don't joke with me like that, 'cause I take it. Depending, the reason why I think it's a combination of things, right? I feel I try to feel everything, but to also know that this person is watching entirely everything and never engaged. I wouldn't even know that you knew some of the things that you said you knew, because you never reach out, you never do anything. And the very time that you have something to say to me lines with that. So for me, to Deborah's point, it's not about quality, it's about quantity. I
Mm,
pay attention to worth building for me is the quality of individuals. Now I know that there's a certain number, right, to expound on the quality of what can happen, but it's not just about getting numbers. So I'm quick on, yeah, no. But I'm happy you brought that up,
mm,
because that was part of even your event. Because you mentioned earlier, I'm gonna rewind when you were saying like a lot of, beautiful Black women. You lucky you
oh,
had
yeah.
that sisterhood, because that was one of the questions you brought up before. And you asked, how has people experience been with sisterhood? Is it a great thing? Is it this? Because you were hearing different things, and a lot of us shared our different experience. I love to hear you, at least you had that sisterhood, and those sisters that uplift you, and that has been your experience of that social capital. And
Yeah.
like I told you before, I had some, but I had a lot that had not been. And I think because the industries I move in, it's already kind of putting us against each other. Competitiveness, you think only one can survive. So we're poor in a lot of social capital when it comes into certain rooms and certain things. So I love how you said that, but expound a little bit more on it. Like, so how have your social capital been with your sisterhood? Do you feel that's where your most of your support come from, the sisterhood?
Oh yeah.
That's
I mean, like I said, I was very blessed. I grew up with a lot of women, female friends, and I think many of us are about to go on 25 years right now. Um, I but I also make sure that at least for me, I make sure that I cultivate those kind of relationships. That's for me. So some of them are not ones that follow up the way I do, right? So some of them, I might see them a year from now and pick up the phone and be like, hey, like we just talked yesterday. I mean, we have still those kind of relationships. But I will say what really sparked, now this is up to date. This is actually our keynote at our conference that's coming up, is Reverend Dr. Jessica Kendall Ingram. I have never had someone put me in a room of 400 people. This is her event, and have me stand up to announce myself or introduce me. Everywhere she went, she always introduced me whenever I'm in, her space. And it's those moments that resonated more with me, even in the sisterhood. She's a Delta, so she's part of a sisterhood,
right.
that has a history. So they have way more.
That's one of their pillars. Like that's the
Yes.
pillar, sisterhood.
Mhm. So they already know how to do. So,
Right.
um, but I'm not. But I got to experience it through her in a sense of how she shows up for anyone, especially women. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I appreciate that, and it makes me then turn around and also make sure that I do that for other women as well. So for me, it probably started off with the fact is that the women I met first, right? We've remained friends. We showed up for each other in different ways. and we're all in different industries and different paths, but we still show up. And then just in my career, my professional career, I just continued to have this connection, especially with Black women. I'm women that are older than me, even younger than me. I had a high school student who she's graduating this year, call me up. I think it was like last week. Met her on LinkedIn. I didn't even know she was a high school student, but she took the initiative to reach out to me, and I was just more excited to see what I can learn from her, right? Like I love this experience of interacting with my sisters, and especially those that I can identify with. It helps me a lot more. When I was in rooms where I didn't like identify with other women, was that harder for me? It was. And I didn't understand why. Like, I mean, again, we all know history, we can
Right.
go through all that, but for me individually, I couldn't understand why I couldn't still identify as just a woman and being able to help. And so I notice I just gravitate obviously to my actual ones that I can identify with. And those are the ones that's been helping even me as I'm going through my journey.
Don't forget you said it, 'cause I want you to expand a little bit. I need a little bit example with that. But
Okay.
before we go there, I want to go back to this point before it slips my mind, because you brought up do you pick up the phone and call all the time or do that? Probably not. We all do it differently. And I didn't watch the whole interview yet, but I seen this snippet of Issa Rae going around. And one of the things that she mentioned in the snippet of the interview she's doing is one of her faults, she defines as a fault, is not being that friend that calls or pick up and do this all the time. Is that a fault though? Like, if you understand your friends and you know your friends and you have a
Mhm.
sister or whatever it is, everyone is different, or should that be something that you look at and say, you can't just be saying, because some people say this, that's just how I am. You have to,
Mhm.
compromise and reciprocate in a different way. Because I want to go back and watch that video she's talking about fault, because that's something I'm not the best at, and have changed that, what had pushed me to change that in general. It's not just friends, it's just in general being more, because I'll get caught up in my go, go, go. But when I connect, that love. But what pushed me is losing a lot of people.
Mm.
Since the 2020 hit, and it's just been a snowball down the fastest hill that's icy. We've always said, "Oh, we don't got much time. We don't got this," and then something else hits. So I've really been more intentional in just sending random things or making more time or working things around. So I never looked at it as a fault. I looked at it as, that's how I am. But when you got me, you got me. But I've just
Right.
changed for those reasons. So I just wanted to bring that up, because you said you may not, be that friend that do
I
this or
mean,
do that.
I really feel like even so, just going back to the word, right? Social capital, you cannot, this is just from my opinion, have expectations for everyone else to show up the way you're showing up. So, and I guess what I mean by is
Wait, go back. You said have expectations.
have the expectations that people show up the way you are showing up. So the way you want them to show up, because like, hey, I should get it reciprocated. If I follow up with you all the time, I'm calling you, I think you should be doing that same thing. But technically, no. At the end of the day, we are still human. We are choosing how we want to interact. And some of us just tend to do more, right? Like, I want to have that connection. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to follow up. I'm going to see how you're doing. Some may not, but it may not be there. It's not intentional, right? They're not doing it to be malice to us. They're just saying, I'm busy, right? Or they're just not on the time that you need them to be on. For me, I had to learn that when I'm interacting with individuals. Um, so I never, someone could call me and I never talked to you for like a year, and someone could pick up and call me and say, hey, how you been? Sorry, I haven't talked to you in a while. And I am actually just thrilled to talk to them. Now, I will say though, boundaries still come in play. So I think even so, I don't expect that person to react or do the things I'm doing, but there still will be boundaries that I expect for myself, because I start to feel a certain way. It's not their fault, but if I start to feel a certain way, I'm going, okay, so you know what? I'm not going to overly extend myself for that person, because I don't want to, because I don't like how they're doing it. But you can also give that person feedback too. A lot of us don't share that critique. So some people don't even know that they're not even showing up for you in a certain way. We just tend to just take it in and go, I'm not talking to that person no more, because they don't, they don't call me. I always call them. And I hear a lot of people say this a lot, like, well, I always call her, but she don't
Right.
call me, so I'm not
Right.
doing it.
I go
But
visit them, but they don't come over here. But that's why I try again on my journey of being more intentional to recognize that now, just for losing some people. And I'm able to recognize how much, and like you said, I don't want to necessarily match everybody energy. I probably can't send you 50 million cards like you send me and all this, but just to level up the energy a little bit more, only to the point of this topic of the conversation. If we're talking about social capital and social currency, and one of the definitions, like you shared, mean to speak your name or have your name spoken in these rooms by someone. I guess if we're not really there, are we pour money for someone, right?
right.
How are we the social capital if I love you, but I really may not know what's going on, or I like you, I really not know what's going on. So am I actually speaking your room? And so am I worth that investment? So that's why I try to, for me, take a little bit ownership in that. I'm not trying to match anybody, but I'm trying to be accountable and recognize that sometimes it may not be enough, even though it come from a pure heart, clean. To your point, I could pick up a phone in a year and it's like we never left. I will have a conversation with you. We talk for hours like we were there. But is that enough when we're talking
Right.
about social capital, social currency? Is that enough? Am I the poor ripped dollar that you know?
But that comes to the choice that you make, though, and that's what I mean by I don't hold expectation to have someone choose to want to interact with me. If they want to be that value, then fine. But that's where the boundaries come in, right? Someone calls me up and says, Stephanie, I haven't talked to you for a year, but can you introduce me to this person? I'm like, well, I can't. I don't know nothing about you. I haven't talked to you. But I could still say hello, is what I'm saying. Is I could still interact with you, but you are the one creating the value of your social capital with me when you interact with me, and vice versa. But that's why I don't get upset, because you are the one making that choice, right?
So you have different levels of value of the social capital?
Well, there's
Okay.
different levels of value. I mean, there's people who are just, like I don't need to have 10,000 connections, right? They're comfortable where they're at, and that is its own level, right? They have the same friends, the same professional friends. Maybe if they have mentors, some people just don't have mentors, right? There's different levels of, also there's people that have, and I mean, if you remember in our conversation, when we were asking what is your social capital worth, and if you remember Miss Kim Walker, and she said $1 billion.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you, she is correct. I have seen this woman network, but that's who she is. She shows up for people. She will follow through. So she's showing you what her worth, and she know, you could see it. I know that my social capital, I need to be worth this much because I want to go somewhere.
Right.
So that's the level she wants to go. And some of us are like, I'm good with $500.
Exactly. No, to your point, that's who actually called me. And honestly, the conversation, because I was like, hey, we're going to connect sometime when we get free time. She's like, sure. You free right now? We could call. I was like, oh, boy, I'm doing some stuff. I'm going to take some time. Okay, I got a couple of minutes. And literally the conversation was about, I just want to get to know you. It was like, what do you do? What can I do for you? It was like, not trying to spill anything about herself, only enough to like interchange some stuff about herself. But her thing was, after I meet, I just want to know you. What can I do for you? I want to be able to think about you. I'm about to go here and do this, and this situation's about to happen here. She asked me, matter of fact, can you make it North Carolina during this time? But I want to be able to think about you in the proper way that I want to need to think about you. So she wanted to hear everything, and we got on it. So that's that's rare.
It is
a lot of times. That's rare, and people literally, not nurturing those things. And that brings me to a question. I mean, like, how do you initiate and nurture the relationships without it feeling transactional and opportunistic? I didn't feel that was definitely not transactional. And opportunity, if it's there, I have to see it way down the line, because opportunity was for me. And I get this though, where you give someone else opportunity, it still helps you, but it's looked at the other way. It's not like just what can you do for me, but I'm about to put you on because I put you on, we're on. And I need to know how to plug you in that room, as well.
Yeah.
So how do you initiate and nurture relationships without it feeling
Like
transactional or
selling,
opportunistic?
like I'm always selling to someone.
Yes.
Um, I guess it's because I'm not selling. I mean, I approach it genuinely. I want to know about you and I want to know how to support. But at the end of the day, people also bring, they're bringing their network, right? So when you learn certain things about them and you start to just question about what they're doing, you get invited to things, right? They're like, come on out because Miss Walker, you're going to notice she's going to invite you to a lot of things.
That's what she said. She said, do you come to North Carolina? And this coming up, you're gonna figure this out. I got somebody I want to introduce you to, but she wanted to get to know you. So like she meant what she said. Everybody's not like that. You say
Right.
one thing, but you show up another way. You see different people, but she showed up. But go ahead.
Yes. Well, people always will, they're going to show up. Well, let me step back. I think the nurturing part for me is just I'm always constantly doing the follow up. But that's who I am. I decided I want to know. But there's so many people that I know that I can't follow up all the time. So I find other ways. It could just be a quick check in to see how they're doing. But I'm never going, hey, I got this new product or this new service. You want? Like I never sell. I really haven't actually. I never sell. It's just I listen to people in their issues and I let them know, hey, how I can help. And parts of those things of when I'm helping, if you don't want an extensive part, yes, I'm charging because that's the value, right? I'm giving you my time. But that's the authentic side. I guess I nurture probably the same way as Miss Kim does. It's really authentic. I really want to know who you are. I'm going to invite you to things. When I see someone highlight stuff on LinkedIn, I don't even know some of these people, but I love what they're doing. So I'm highlighting it throughout the network that other people may want to know. But they never had to call me to do that. Right. So I guess it's just showing up for self in a way, the way I would want people to say that's how Stephannie shows up. Right. So when you're in a room and you're talking about me, you know that is an authentic way of how I interact. I want everyone across the board to be able to say that. So I guess I'm nurturing a way of being consistent, as you brought up earlier, the consistency in how I interact with people.
So your consistency is you interact with the old adage, treat others as you want to be
Treated.
treated type thing.
Mhm.
Um, I had changed that. I started treating others how they tell me they want me to treat them. No, I just, and we're being transparent. No, because sometimes you treat people the way you want to be treated, and you'll have those people that just run with it. But I can say I may initiate it that way, and to the point we were
Mhm.
talking about earlier, just go where it takes you, and then I'm starting to learn. You start to teach me now how you truly want to be treated. Maybe I thought to treat you the way I want to be treated, but then you start to teach me how you want to be treated.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, so people will tell you, remember how I was saying a little bit earlier, they would tell you how they want to be treated. But no one will ever change me, right? I'm not going to change just because how
Somebody
they act. I don't, because then it takes you out of your own character. And then you start to kind of go off your own path of who
your
you are.
alignment of
Yeah.
whatever it is. But the way I treat people, no, you tell me to cut you off. Don't tit for tat. And I love if you be able to, you can stay there. But no, if you show me that you are a vampire, is what I call it, you will
Mhm.
absolutely drain, or you this or you that. I see my life as like have circles, and there's different layers in which people would be. And some people get pushed all the way out the circle. But if you teach me how you want to be treated and it does not fit
Right.
with then you already let me know. It's cut off. I do know there is some people though, and I think this is a gift. Some people will still say, no, I'm gonna still stay in there and keep, giving who I am, regardless of, how somebody is. For me, I haven't gotten there. I literally would give you time. And if it is, like I said, all money's not good money. If I feel like it is literally draining, I would,
Mhm.
you gotta go. You show me how to treat you. You have to go. And that's on all levels of relationships. So for you, though, you'll stay in there. And
Well, no, I'm not saying I would stay. I'm saying is I won't change my character.
oh,
So what I'm
yeah.
saying is You will tell me how you want to be treated, right?
Right.
And so if I'm cutting you off, it wasn't because I'm like, oh, I need to cut you off. You cut yourself off
There you go.
because of how
Right.
you interacted with me. So you chose that that path. I guess that's what I'm saying, right? So
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
show up,
That's
but hey, you know what? If you're acting a certain manner and a behavior that's going to cause a negative for me, to me, I'm looking at it as that's how you want to show up. And so you're saying, Stephannie, I'm not ready to be in your space.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're on the same page there then. Yeah, don't let it change your character, but it changes how I would now have that grace of interacting with you. It's like, oh, no, that's where you need to be.
That's where you chose to be. That's how I see it. Like, okay.
That's where you chose to be. What
Mm-hmm.
is your event that you're speaking about?
Oh, yes. Thanks for bringing that up. So the Women Beyond Limits Network, it's actually been very active for about 7 years. And this is kind of our way of entering into the masses and finding more women that are very interested in building their social capital in a very authentic way, but also how you build your wealth portfolio along with it, right? And so as we're learning about we do financial literacy, it's part of what we were noticing is that our portfolio didn't have social capital part of it. Like we didn't kind of think of it as part of the financial portfolio. And so the actual conference, which is called The Color of Confidence, brings many women together to have a social capital conversation. And I built it. I actually really designed it with a young woman named Naisha Arrington. Built it so that our voices are heard. So it's a working summit. So I say wear your sneakers because you're in the boardroom. You are, the CEO of that moment, and you're walking away, increasing your Rolodex. You're walking away with understanding what is social capital in different spaces. Many of the women that are coming are entrepreneurs. We discuss about customer service. What does that look like? What does customer service look like as in social capital? And how does it interact with our income, our earnings? So we really dig deep into social capital. It's on October 25th. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina. And our registration actually launches May 20th. So next week, we'll be launching early registration. And I'm actually really excited. And when I say it's a very different kind of summit, I really try to stress to people, this is not where you're looking at a panel and they're teaching you something.
Okay.
But the sessions that you're going to participate in are actual professors who are actually talking about finance and also how does it compare to social capital. So it's a very more, I want it to be a high level thought summit where you walk away going, I not only learned something, but I just gained a lot more people in my social capital. I mean, we're moving our dollars in the summit as well. So we're not just talking about how we utilize social capital, we're going to actually interact with it as well.
So when you say it's not necessarily a panel, was it like we're touching everybody's engaged type thing, or
Yes.
what did you mean?
You're constantly engaged from the very beginning. I created it to have an experience. So from the door all the way to the end, it's a full day experience.
I love it. Can you just
try not to give out the goodies? So
I know. Before we even wrap up and touch a little bit, just because you just said something, customer service as social capital.
I'm very, I love studying about customer service. I think just as an entrepreneur, when I was working working on accelerators, I would watch how entrepreneurs would interact with their customers and what that customer flow looked like. But it was also just, again, stereotypes when someone went to a Black-owned business and they experienced something, negative, and all of a sudden every Black business they don't want to, work with. I would hear those kind of conversations. So a lot of that just, I became more of an advocate about customer service and what does it mean? What does it mean for you to be a customer? And what does it mean to actually interact with a customer? And one of the sessions actually at the conference will dig deep into that as well.
Oh, I love that. And you said that's going to be posted where? You said on your website or LinkedIn or both? Or
yes, it's going to be.
What is your website?
LinkedIn.
Do you want anybody to go to the website, or do you want if LinkedIn's better?
So the website will launch on May 20th. It will be
Okay.
womenbeyondlimits.com. And they'll be able to go there and they will see everything about the summit. Because this is our first summit, we kept it very intimate. The first 75, we would only take up to 100 women because the way it's designed. When I say it's that powerful, it really is. So it's that first, you got to get in, better get in when you get in kind of thing. And then as we grow, and I will even leave it here for you, is that the men are actually coming down the line as well. So even though we have the Women Beyond Limits, we also have Men Beyond Limits, and they will be launching, coming with us next year.
Wow. I didn't know it was a cap. So I need to hurry up and look at, because I was telling you, I was trying to look at my calendar and see and make it and all this. I didn't know it was capped at 100. I better hurry up and look at
Yes.
making it and get there.
Don't worry. I will let you know.
Absolutely. I know the circles you're going to do is going to be intentional. Everything you're doing is intentional. So that's another thing I learned too. I don't just show up anywhere and everywhere anymore. It just, no, I show up somewhere where it has to make sense. And I know I would definitely love showing up there, especially from what you're explaining right now.
Oh yeah, and we designed it for introvert and extrovert. So it's not, pushing somebody in to say you got to know someone. I'm telling you, when you experience what has been designed, it allows you to grow at your own pace. It allows you to have your own voice. When you're sitting in the room with your sisters at that time, it is a boardroom style. And then I love creating experiences where people move around. So you're moving into different rooms at each time that you're experiencing, and you're with your group for most of the day too.
Oh, that sounds good. Somebody on here, we got to go together. We got to travel. We'll meet up and go to North Carolina, October 25th, right?
Yes, October 25th.
That's
a Saturday, so it's a good time for. And we do have
October, North Carolina. How's the weather? It's not snowing yet.
No, but it might be raining, right?
Oh,
like
well,
you could have that rain moment.
We don't got immune to the rain. That's all I see is rain. It's got nothing to do with that. Yeah, we're fine with that. I thank you so much, Stephannie. I support everything you're doing. I can say, especially for me, I'm always giving, a lot of inspiration, a lot of this. You have really inspired me to know that, just keep looking. There's these groups out here, especially become a sister. That's one of the reasons why I'm very excited to come October 25th. That will support. They're there to support each other, not to.
Yes.
They're there to collaborate and not compete. And to have a group of people that's like-minded like that is a beautiful thing. And you inspire me hearing you say that's all you do know, right? So it's good to always hear the opposite, because you hear one thing on one side and you experience something on the other side, and you come in and you feel someone who deeply say, yeah, no, any other room, I don't feel, but here, this has been my story.
Yes.
Curating something for that. I really like that. Deborah said North Carolina weather in October is close to Atlanta weather at that time. Okay, so then I'll be good. And Deborah says, sign me up. All right, Deborah, we need to link up and make this.
I can't see it, Deborah.
Yeah, make this a trip and see what it is. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Your
Thank
time
you for the
is also
space.
currency. I appreciate you so much. I'm so happy that we got connected. So everyone who listened, as you heard, you don't need everyone in your circle. You need the right ones in your circle. And and that's in whatever your circle is. And then other people, you can decide where they need to be placed. Some people's value is not as high for you, or vice versa. They may think of you that same way. But the people who mention your name, though, in rooms that you don't even know existed, that's high value. So if you know that's high value for you, be that person for somebody else. The people who water your visions and don't compromise it, not threatened by it, those are valuable people. So pay attention that you're not always draining from them, but it's reciprocated in the give and take. Social currency is real wealth, and we need to be wealthy in these times. If you're doing anything, or if you want to do anything that's different to help us through these breakthroughs at this time now, start being more intentional on your social currency. Those that are around you, pay attention to that value. It doesn't cost you money. It costs you intentionality. So just ask yourself, are you just networking or net worth building? Let that be the new 2025 thing. That has been the path I'm on. Very intentional about it, connecting and elevating my wealth in that way, because we need to be speaking each other names in a room. So I'm gonna post this as I give my wrap up. Oh, all the good comments coming through now. And landscape driven by the likes and optics, real intimacy is the valuable of us. That's right. Single of relationship wealth. Absolutely. Amazing talk. Thank you. And this is how we have to keep talking, ladies and gentlemen. Seriously, not just talking, but now showing up in these rooms, doing the things, supporting each other. This is how we're going to have our breakthrough. So that's a wrap for today's episode of Seek ELLAvation Experience. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, you all, for engaging. Like I always say, the more you know, the more you grow, the more you learn, the more you earn. But please do share this, especially with that event going on in October. Well, no, okay, share it. But I'm here to get my ticket before the 100. So yes, when you share, you care. So please share this. So that's going to make me accountable to grab my ticket before you guys try to get my seat, because I would come there and snatch somebody out their seat and take it. So don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Spread the wisdom, tag a friend, let us all elevate together. And until next time, keep striving, keep growing, and most importantly, keep seeking ELLAvation. See you next time. Peace and progress. Stay right there, Stephannie.